Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you all for joining us for this evening program with His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. So before we start the program, Her Grace Nanda Vinodini Mataji is going to do Kirtan for half an hour. Over to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namini Boliye Nama Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Eti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. So I've sent the song in Austin Bhakti group. You can pull it up. It's Jai Radha Girivardhari. The song meaning is very beautiful. I really want to tell the meaning first. So it says, all glories to Srimati Radharani and Girivardhari. He is the son of Nand Maharaj and she is the darling of Maharaj Vishvanu. He wears a peacock feather in his crown, and a shining flute is placed on his lips. Her long braids appears brilliant, and she has a gentle smile on her face. Wearing a garland of forest flowers, his neck is splendorous. Wearing a shimmering pearl necklace, her neck is splendorous. His yellow garments enchant the minds of everyone within the universe. Her blue garments display a brilliant effulgence. Jeweled ankle bells resound on their reddish lotus feet. The mind of Krishna Das is illuminated by their splendorous presence. It's a beautiful song. Okay. Jayo Radha Girivardhari Jayo Radha Girivardhari Jayo Girivardhari Jayo Thank you so much. Jayo Radha. Thank you, Prabhuji. Radha Girivardhari बोलिए जयो राधा गिरवरधारी जयो राधा गिरवरधारी जयो राधा गिरवरधारी श्रीनंद नंदन वृषभानुदुलारी श्रीनंद वृषभानुदुलारी श्रीनंद नंदन वृषभानुदुलारी श्रीनंद वृषभानुदुलारी श्रीनंद वृषभानुदुलारी श्रीनंद वृषभानुदुलारी राधे वृषभानुदुलारी वृषभानुदुलारी राधे वृषभानुदुलारी विश्वभानु दुलारी ओहो विश्वभानु दुलारी राधे विश्वभानु दुलारी जय राधा गिरवर्धारी जय राधा गिरवर्धारी जय राधा गिरवर्धारी जय राधा गिरवर्धारी मोर मुकुट मुखा मुरली जोड़ी 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 वेणी विराजे मोखाए हसी थोड़ी थोड़ी आहा वेणी विराजे मोखे हसी थोड़ी थोड़ी वेणी विराजे मोखे हसी थोड़ी थोड़ी जय राधा गिरवर्धारी जय राधा गिरवर्धारी जय राधा गिरवर्धारी जय राधा गिरवर्धारी ऊना ऊना की सोहे गले वनमाला ऊना की गले सोहे उजाला हो इनकी मोती माला उजाला जय राधा धा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा धा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा धा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा धा गिरिवरधारी पीतांबर जगा जना मान मोहे 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 नीला ओढ़ानी बानी उनकी सोहे आहा नीला ओढ़ानी बानी उनकी सोहे ओहो नीला ओढ़ानी बानी उनकी सोहे नीला उड़ानी बानी उनकी सोहे जय राधा धा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा धा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा धा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा धा गिरिवरधारी अरुणाचरणी मानी मंजीरा बाजे अरुणाचरणी मानी मंजीरा बाजे अरुणाचरणी मानी मंजीरा बाजे अरुणाचरणी मानी मंजीरा बाजे श्री कृष्ण दासाताही मन मन भावे ओहो श्री कृष्ण दासाताही मन मन भावे आहा श्री कृष्ण दासाताही मन भावे ho, Shri Krishna dasa tahi manam bhavim Jaya Radha Dha Girivardhari 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 Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Girivardhari बोलिए राधा गिरवरधारी जय 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 गिरवरधारी जय कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की राधा रानी की जय गौरताई की जय शिल प्रभुपाद की थैंक यू रोजी
We'll do short kirtan. So we want to do Brahmanatha Prabhu. Krishna, Krishna, Hare
Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol.
With that, we are very happy. We have His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu here with us. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for coming here and giving us your holy association. Today's morning session was so amazing, and because of your session, you can see devotees have come for the part 2. We don't want to miss the second part of the session. So briefly about Prabhu. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, he's a monk and a spiritual scientist. Prabhu has been practicing Krishna consciousness for over 25 years now. He has authored more than 25 books and over 300 analytical articles, offering deep insights into the Vedic scriptures like the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Bhagavad Gita. He's a member of ISKCON's Shastric Advisory Council and an associate editor of Back to Godhead magazine. He has spoken at TEDx, UNESCO, Intel, Google, Stanford, Princeton, Yale, Harvard, MIT, and more. So this morning, Prabhu gave a part 1 seminar on conflict management. It was an amazing class. Prabhu spoke about the misunderstandings, the biases, and the limited knowledge. These create conflicts, and how it can be resolved with open communication and acceptance of difference, like agree to disagree, and how we can consciously approach to the resolution. Prabhus and Matajis, please come forward. Thank you. The class was incredibly enlightening, and y'all can now witness, if y'all have missed the part 1, it's on YouTube, please go watch it. But now y'all can witness how amazing part 2 session will be. And also Prabhu has some books that he has got, his latest books, Gita for CEO and one other book I'm not able to read from here, but Prabhu will be signing those books. So please stay back after the class so you can get purchase a book and then also get signed from Prabhu. With that, let us chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra one time to welcome Prabhu. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhu. Over to you.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Delighted and grateful to be here with all of you today. And I'll speak on the 17:15 from the Bhagavad Gita. So I'll first explain the meaning, we'll recite the verse, and then we'll discuss. So this is Krishna in the last line saying, Vanmayam tapa uchyate. Tapa is austerity or discipline. Uchyate is, this is said to be. Vanmaya is of speech. So this is discipline of speech. This is the way we can make our speech more effective. And what does he say? What do we need to do about it? The first thing he says, Anudvega karam vakyam. The vakya, the words that we speak, that they should not agitate others. Udvega is to agitate. So anudvega karam is that which don't agitate others. Specifically what it means is that those which are not meant to agitate others. Sometimes the words may agitate, but we don't get a pleasure in agitating others. So anudvega karam vakyam. Then, now does that mean we flatter others and pamper others? No. Satyam, meant to speak the truth, but some people say the truth is bitter. Yeah, that is true. The truth may be bitter, but even the bitter truth doesn't have to be spoken bitterly. So, satyam but priyam. Speak it in a way that is pleasing. And then there could be many truths that we could speak, but speak those truths that are beneficial to others. Hitam chayat. So these are all characteristics. Satyam priya hitam chayat. Swadhyay. Swadhyay is self-study. We study scripture. So at that time, abhyasanam. We, while studying scripture, we recite scriptures. So scripture recitation is a direct way to spiritualize the power of our speech. So chaiva. Cha also. This is also. Swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva. Vanmayam, as I mentioned, it is one of speech. This is austerity. Vanmayam tapa uchyate. So let's recite this once more. Anudvega karam vakyam. Satyam priyahitam chaya. Swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva. Vanmayam tapa uchyate. Once more. Anudvega karam vakyam. Satyam priyahitam chaya. Swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva. Vanmayam tapa uchyate. So, just in a small poetic translation of this verse. So, words that cause no agitation, truthful, pleasing, meant for elevation, reciting sacred texts that bring purity of speech, all these are austerity. of speech, all these are austerity. So Vanmayam Tapauchyati. Let's recite this once together, no? Not responsive. Yeah, together. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapauchyate. It's two more times. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapauchyate. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapauchyate. Thank you. So this is the second part. This is the second part of the discussion on conflict management. I'll do a quick recap of what we discussed in the first part. Already the introduction that was mentioned. Now, broadly speaking, when conflicts occur, is it visible there? Okay. So they occur, the first step is that conflicts don't arise in a vacuum. There is something that we feel is wrong. So somebody has done something which is objectionable, which is even obnoxious, whatever it is. So we see something wrong. And then that's the time conflicts start. And then after that, we try to fix it. Now, when we try to fix it, sometimes it is not that the problem gets fixed, it is the problem gets fixed. What do I mean by that? The problem doesn't get solved, the problem becomes permanent. The problem gets fixed in the sense that, maybe during the mode of communication, the other person becomes angry with us, and then we become angry with them, and the problem gets perpetuated. So in the morning, we check this particular section about when we see something wrong. Now, is it actually wrong? So I took an acronym. Does anyone remember the acronym morning? PAR. So it's on par. It's part of life. It's on par to the way of life that things, we will see something wrong. So what are the reasons possibly? P was perceptions, yes. So it may be that nothing is wrong, but we think it is wrong. So we are seeing one side of the story, and based on the limited perception, we think this is wrong. Now, if that is the case, then it just needs more communication. Now, the other could be approach. So two people may just have different approaches. Two people may have different priorities. So we may see somebody has not done something which we had told them to do. And we say, how could you be so irresponsible? But then maybe they were doing something else at that time. And that was also important for them. So now, is that the right thing? Well, it depends. It's their approach. That's their priority. So with respect to bhakti, we discussed how this is inevitable because there is Vrindavan and there is Kurukshetra. So Vrindavan is that we want to remember Krishna and relish the remembrance. But Kurukshetra is where we have to serve in this world. And because in this world resources are limited, there are sometimes conflicts and confrontations. So two people may just have different approaches, what to prioritize, and that could lead to conflicts. And then the last part could be, that's what we're going to discuss today, results. Like some things turn out to be wrong. That I thought this was wrong, but actually that person is just a different way of doing things. But then that different way of doing things does not work. Nowadays, one of the ideas that is very popular is relativism. Relativism is, you have your morality, I have my morality, and you have that way, this way of thinking and that way of thinking. And is it that, okay, because we should be tolerant, we should accept all thoughts? Well, yes and no. We can be tolerant, but reality itself is not very tolerant. Isn't it? If somebody is walking at the edge of a tall building with a very low parapet wall, or no parapet wall because it's not a construction, and somebody says, don't walk so close, you may slip. No, you have your way, I have my way. Well, your way will lead you to a dead end. Literally, that will be the end over there. So ultimately, in one sense, relativism, there is validity to relate. There can be different ways, but relativism is ultimately limited by reality. Relativism is limited by reality in the sense that if we want to construct a building, sometimes we can have very fancy constructions. I was in the Middle East a couple of months ago in Dubai. Some of these buildings are just all kinds of angles are there in the building. And it doesn't really feel artistic or aesthetic. It's just different. So now we can make buildings of all kinds of angles, but we cannot make foundations of all kinds of angles. Isn't it? So if the foundations are of different angles, then the building will have no angle eventually. So yes, there is a part of some room for relativism is there, but everything is not relative. That the ultimate test for relativity is that, does it work? Does it work? Somebody may say, I have one taste for food, you have another taste for food. But if somebody says, my taste for food is, I only like to eat sweet foods. Well, then after that, you will not live. The person may get diabetes, the person may get health problems. So the thing is that, okay, one part of the meal of sweet food is fine. But if that's all a person is going to take, so we can have differences in taste. But there is a limit to the differences in taste, isn't it? So the point is, relativism is limited by reality. So what we're talking about is, there can be different perceptions, there can be different approaches, but ultimately there are results. And now when it turns out that somebody was doing something and that gave a bad result, now that is the opportunity for us. Is it? Now, there are 4 words that are most satisfying to the human ego. Practically, there are no other 4 words in the vocabulary in the English language than these 4 words. I told you so. So what happens if we had told someone don't do something and they do that and then they get into trouble? It's very easy, to just get on their case. So I told you so. Now this is very satisfying to the ego, but whether it will be helpful or not, that is the question. So now we will discuss. So ultimately, the parameter for different approaches or different perceptions is, ultimate parameter is reality. What are the results that are coming out? So this talk will be in 2 parts. What I just now talked about is why we are focusing on the results now. So when this particular situation comes up, when results are showing some approach to be wrong or some action to be wrong, so that is the time also when we need communication. Our communication has to be careful. So in one sense, careful communication is required in all 3 approaches. So careful communication is required to understand the other person's approach, to correct our own or complete our own perceptions. And even when the results have come out to be wrong, we need to communicate it in such a way that that person doesn't get alienated by it. So let's look at this. So this is where Krishna talks about communication over here, and what he says about speech, about how to make our speech more effective. What he says could be broadly categorized into 2 categories. There is being sensitive and being sensible. So sensitive is meant to address our emotions, our heart side. And this is meant to address the reason side within us. Now, what Krishna says with respect to sensitive, we could put it as a funnel. First, he says is non-agitating, anudvegakaram. So don't agitate others. Now, the world is an agitating place. Everybody's mind is agitated. And don't speak words that will agitate others further. Now, as I said, when Krishna says non-agitating, it's karam, that word, anudvega karam. It's not our intention to agitate. Now, of course, to speak non-agitating words is not the highest criteria, isn't it? It's like if somebody invites us for food at their place, and after that, how was the food? It was edible. now, edible is the rock bottom, isn't it? Sometimes sometimes we say there's damning by faint praise. So if you say the food is edible, it is so faint a praise that it's a criticism. So we could say, but at the very least, Krishna says is, let the speech be non-agitating. Now beyond that, it can, if we consider a funnel effect like this, you can say that it can also be pleasing, encouraging. This is priyam. It can be priya in many different ways, but let our speech not agitate others, but encourage others. So pleasing is not so much pampering over here or flattering. It is encouraging. Now, one word of encouragement can make a huge difference for somebody who's having a bad day or a bad week. So we all have probably had experience of a few kind words changing our mood and raising our spirits. So that is the sensitive part. Try to speak words which are non-agitating at least and encouraging at best. Now conversely, so there's sanudvega and priyam. Now in the sensible part, Krishna says first speak words that are truthful. Satyam. So it is not that just in order to be sensitive we lie to others. It is that Krishna is not encouraging lying over here. However, just because we have to be truthful, just because we have to be truthful does not necessarily mean we have to speak the full truth. Why is that? Because not all truth is helpful. We have to see, that is hitam, what is helpful. So speak that truth which is helpful. Suppose a couple has been married for 25 years. On the 25th anniversary, the husband says to his wife, today I'll give you a gift that I've been preparing for 25 years. Oh, really? What is it? He says, in the last 25 years, all the faults that I have observed in you, I will tell you today. And by doing these faults, you can improve and you can become a better person. That may well be his last wedding anniversary. So now we all see so many faults in each other. That this, in this present age of Kali, it is called as Kaler Dosho Nidherajan. It's an ocean of faults. So finding faults in this age requires as much cleverness as finding water in an ocean. It's everywhere. So that's why when we have to speak the truth, but speak that truth which is helpful. If we are training our child to speak a new language, now the child may speak 10 words, out of which 3 words are right and 7 words are wrong. But the child is learning, we appreciate the 3 words that they have spoken right, isn't it? So yeah, that is good. Now, is that the truth? Yes. Is that the complete truth? Not necessarily. There's a long way to go ahead. But speak that truth which is helpful. So broadly speaking, these 2 aspects to it. That we speak in a way that opens people's hearts and opens people's and appeals to their heads also. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the example that is given is of gardening. that the process of bhakti is like gardening and nourishing and growing the Bhakti Lata Bij, the creeper of devotion. Now, while this creeper of devotion is growing, there may be weeds that grow around it. So now we need to point out the weeds so that they can be cut, and we need to make sure that the actual creeper is nourished. So what happens is, if we are only sensitive, we consider the pendulum, if we are only sensitive but not sensible, that means we care for others' feelings so much. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Okay. So if we care only for people's feelings, but we don't care for the actual situation, it's like we let the weeds grow. We don't want to point out anything that is wrong, and we are so much beating around the bush that there is no constructive effect that is there. We beat around the bush, and the bush is like a weed which keeps growing and growing. Isn't it? So, but on the other hand, if we are only sensible, that means this is the problem and fix it now. We are not really sensitive at all. That person may become so discouraged. That person may start feeling, what kind of person is this? This person doesn't care at all. And they may become, they're only sensible but not sensitive. We may end cutting the creeper itself. Now, what we are meant to grow, that only we may end up cutting off. So we need to be both sensitive and sensible. So I remember one time one devotee, I was in Pune at that time, and I was involved in the public relations and communication. So there was one journalist who was becoming quite favorable and becoming a devotee. And this was 2007, 2008. The cell phones were not that common at that time. So I had gone out, I think I had gone to Bangalore, and this friend called me. He said, I'm never going to come to your temple ever again. I said, what happened? Now I knew that that his mother had been a little sick, and it was known that she was in her final stage, so I had also met her. So then he said that, my mother passed away, and I came to the temple, I wanted to meet you, and you were not there. So I started talking with some other devotee. And when I told him my mother has passed away, and he said, your mother has passed away? Yes, tomorrow your father will pass away. The day after tomorrow, your partner will pass away. After that, your brother will pass away. After that, your friends will pass away. Ultimately, everybody will pass away. We are all alone in this world. Our only shelter is Krishna. Now, the point may be true, but it is spoken in such a way that it's going to just devastate a person. Isn't it? So if somebody tells like that to when somebody lost someone, is that I will never want to come over here. So this is basically cutting off the creeper. Yes. Now ultimately, yes, we are alone. But it's not just that we are alone. It is Krishna who offers us his love through our mother, through our father, through our friends, through our siblings, through everyone around us. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. That whatever love we get from our mother, from our father, ultimately it is Krishna giving love through that person. So yes, that person may go away, but Krishna is always there with us. And if we pray to Krishna, Krishna can take our prayers to that person even that person is not there with us. So yes, we want to focus on encouraging people to take shelter of Krishna. But it's not by dismissing their current concerns completely. So what may happen is if you're only sensible, it's like truthful, but it's not helpful. In fact, it's utterly unhelpful. So, so we need to speak the truth in a way that it is helpful. So therefore, what we need is a balance of both. So we want speech to be both sensitive and sensible. In fact, such speech can be very transformative. And if we see Krishna himself, his speech has both these aspects to it. Now, we could go into elaborate analysis of this, but just one simple point that Jiva Goswami says, we can know what is the purpose of a book by looking at its start and looking at its end. So we'll see that what does Krishna speak in his first words? His first instructive words are in 2.11. He speaks a few words before that. In 2.2 and 3, he speaks one line in 1.25. But 2.11 is his first instructive words. And here the first word is Ashochan. Ashochan means not worth lamenting, not worth getting agitated about. So say if some mother has come to a doctor and say their child has got some terrible child seems to be in a lot of pain, child has some swelling on the body, and the mother thinks that the child has got cancer. And the first thing the doctor says, it's not worth worrying about. It's not worth getting worked up about. But the point is, calm down. Don't get so worried about it. And the last word that Krishna speaks is Ma Shuchaha. They're not the last words, but again the last instructive words. After that, it is the Falashruti from 1867 onwards. So Ashochan and Ma Shuchaha. Ashochan is it's not so serious. It's not worth worrying about. It's not worth getting worked up about. And then Ma Shucha is don't get worked up about. So it is Krishna is sensitive. Krishna is pacifying and encouraging Arjuna. And in between is the philosophy. The philosophy is what actually addresses the issue. Arjuna is confused about what is the right thing to do, and Krishna addresses that. So I started by saying that if somebody had a way to do something different from the way we are doing, and then it does not work out, the results don't come. And at that time, if we tell them, I told you so. So what would be the problem with that speech in terms of this analysis? Would it be sensible? Would it be sensitive? No, it is not at all sensitive. So if somebody has tried something, it's not worked, yeah, they also know in one sense it's not worked. But at that time, they may be demoralized, they may be discouraged, they may need encouragement. So now speech, it's not that speech always has to have both these components. Yes, it always has to have, but sometimes it may need a little bit more of being sensitive than being sensible. Sometimes it may need a little more of being sensible. Somebody's car is not working and they're not able to start the car. And they say, oh, my car is not working. Just keep trying, you can do it. Just keep trying, you can do it. Oh, but there's no fuel in the car. No, just keep trying, you can do it. So, if there's a practical problem, it also requires a practical solution, isn't it? So, being only sensitive is not enough. We need sensitive and sensible. So now, what does this mean? Broadly speaking, so this is the frame we are going to use now, that when somebody has done something which has turned out to be wrong, and that is the time when we have to decide how to communicate. So actually, when we want our speech to be effective, the most effective speech comes not just by the words that we speak, but it is also by the mood that we have in our heart. There are some people who may be sweet talkers. They might want to market some things, and what is that saying? A diplomat is one who lies abroad for the good of his country. LIES is lies. That means he stays abroad, but he also lies abroad. So generally, what it's about diplomacy, it is said, this is a little more traditional culture, but there's a joke about it. It says that if a diplomat says yes, it means maybe. If a diplomat says maybe, it means no. If a diplomat says no, it means he is no diplomat. He or she is not at all diplomatic. So you should never say a blunt no. But the idea is that sometimes we have to be diplomatic in our speech. However, while being diplomatic, we have to also make sure that the particular point that we want to say is being conveyed. So there has to be being sensitive and being sensible. So when it's not just being manipulative in our speech. There has to be a good heart. And then beyond that, the words come out. So how do we see others? When somebody has made a mistake, so Krishna says something has turned out to be a mistake in terms of the result that came out from it. So Krishna says, have the vritti of apaishunam. Anyone knows what apaishunam means? Apaishunam is one of the qualities of the Daivi Prakriti. And Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi, like that, the whole list goes on. And this is, Prabhupada translated this as aversion to fault finding. That sometimes we may have to find faults, but we don't look forward to doing it. We are averse to finding faults. And then even when there is a fault, even when there is a mistake, try to look for, what it means is, the least negative cause for the mistake. So if somebody has made a mistake, try to look for the least negative cause for the mistake. So this will be the essence of the class now, the last part, or the last part is a very big part, not necessarily. So I'll use the word jam to explain this. Sometimes our communication can get us into a jam, and sometimes our communication can get us out of a jam. So whenever there is a mistake, now why did that mistake happen? It could be a judgment error. Say we had a program and one person said that, there are two people in the kitchen. One said, let's cook for about 100 people. The person said, no, food will go waste. Let's cook for around 70 people. And they cook for 70 people, and then it turns out that 100 people come. And then now, that is a judgment error. Anybody can make a judgment error. Okay, I didn't think so many people would come for this talk, for this particular program. So we all are human and we make errors. So now it's a mistake and it has to be dealt with. But a judgment error should be forgiven. We all are prone to make mistakes. Somebody plans, okay, we want to go for this program, and it takes about 1 hour. But then it takes 1 hour if there's no traffic. And here I didn't anticipate the traffic. Maybe there was some sports event or some political event. But then that's a judgment error. Now, we all make mistakes. Now, beyond judgment error, sometimes it can be an ability deficiency. That means the person just does not have the ability. And not everybody has every ability. So, some people are very forgetful. Now we tell them, can you get these things? And then they come, they're not only forgotten, they're forgotten that they're forgotten also. And that can become very irritating, isn't it? So at least if they're apologetic, but they are so utterly unconcerned. So some people just don't have the ability. Some people just have, say, a little rough voice or a little bit harsh way of speaking or a very loud voice. Maybe they come off as a little angry or rough. Maybe they are a little rough in their behavior. Now, if a person who is prone to a little rough speech or prone to get angry, now if we put that person in devotee care, then somebody has to put us first in devotee care, isn't it? So that is just the wrong service. Some people just don't have the ability. Say somebody can't play a musical instrument very well, and then we put them in that service, and we realize, okay, this was a mistake. But if that person is very enthusiastic, they just want to play that instrument every time, it's like, then we have to tell them. It's a little more painful to tell someone that they made a judgment error. That's painful. But to say that you don't have this ability, that is much more painful. Now we could put it more softly by saying, maybe you can practice a little bit more, and then you can develop that ability. But sometimes, sometimes you just, some people just, they don't have that capacity to develop that ability only. But that happened with me for music. When I tried to learn it, I had 2-3 different devotees trying to teach me. And finally, one devotee told me, Prabhu, you can use this as a next lifetime project. So sometimes you just lack an ability. And it was really painful at that time, but then I accepted it. So sometimes we just don't have an ability. Now, well, that is painful, but what is the most painful is if there is a suspicion or allegation about the motive. You deliberately wanted to make a mess of this. You deliberately cooked less food so that people would be unhappy when they would come for a program. So now when we go to the motive for someone, that's very hurtful. Say, when a couple is parenting children, each individual may have a slightly different parenting style. The mother may say, don't be too hard on the child. Be a little kind, be a little liberal. The father may say, let's be a little strict. We want to give rules. Now both have the best intention of the child, but it's a difference in approach. Now, which is right? Well, we can't know. We can't see the future. But both the mother and the father are more or less convinced that the other person has the best interest of the child. So now, if say one of the parents accuses the other parent, you want to hurt our child, now that would be extremely painful. So in our spiritual situation, when we start accusing someone, you are a deviant, you're deviating from Srila Prabhupada, or you're deviating from Shastra. And why are you doing that? Because you want cheap success, you want popularity. Then that is a very serious accusation. So when we see somebody committing a mistake, and it's a mistake, and the results have come out to be wrong, and that's undeniable. But what exactly happened over there? So apaishunam means, aversion to fault finding means, start with the least negative explanation. Don't jump to the most negative explanation. So the least negative explanation is judgment error could be ignorance. Maybe you're not experienced enough. Ability deficiency is incompetence. The person doesn't have the capacity to do it. But motive suspicion is malevolence. That actually you want to hurt others. Say if somebody is a soldier, and that soldier is supposed to guard a particular place, and the soldiers, or that somebody is in charge of a particular, maybe a general or whatever, a colonel, and they say, okay, we can have 30 soldiers over here guarding. But then the enemy attacks with 100 soldiers over there. They're destroyed. So that was a judgment error. But if somebody accuses that soldier, actually, you were bribed by the enemy. And that's why you had less soldiers over there. Could that be true? Well, it can be. But when we jump to that, or when we make that accusation, it's going to be extremely hurtful. And it can ruin relationships if it is not true. So now I'll talk about one pastime which illustrates this particular principle of two characters they faced a very difficult situation, and what was the attribution that was done for a particular action. So this is from the Ramayana. In the Ramayana, there are two major incidents that are plot twists that suddenly change the trajectory of the story. Which are the two incidents? The abduction of Sita and the exiling of Ram. Yes, good. So I will be talking about the abduction of Sita. Now, almost 13 years of the exile were nearly over, and Sita was in their hermitage. She was just watering some plants outside, and she saw suddenly just a stunningly beautiful deer. And she immediately called out to Ram and Lakshman. Suppose we are just looking out of the window and we see a beautiful rainbow. Hey, come on, see it. It's so beautiful. So they came and they all just see how beautiful it is, looking at it. And as they're looking at it, Sita said to Ram, this is so beautiful. I haven't seen anything like this. Can you get this as a pet? I can have it for some time and then we can take it back and we can give this as a gift, as a memento from our forest to Mother Kaushalya. And Lakshman always had that role of a guard. So he says, this doesn't look like a deer. Now, a deer is a harmless creature and no other creatures are afraid of a deer. But no other creature is coming close to it. There's something suspicious. So Sita was so excited to see that deer. See this? It is your mind that is too suspicious. She didn't pay much attention to it. She said, Ram, can you please get it? Now Ram said that. Ram thought that Sita has sacrificed so much for him. He came to the forest, never complained. And she's hardly asked anything from him. So she's asking this, let me go. And then it says, Sita had thought this Ram will just spring on that deer and catch it. But as he ran toward the deer started running away. And then it disappeared. It disappeared and went. A lot of time passed away. And as the time passed away, Sita's anxiety started increasing. And now there, the deer was actually Maricha. Lord Ram followed him long distance into the forest. And finally, when he realized this deer was like magically appearing, disappearing, jumping in a long distance, that way that no deer could jump, he finally concluded that this is not a deer. This is something suspicious over here. So he decided to shoot it. And the moment he shot, now Maricha, at that time the arrow pierced his body and he immediately called out, Lakshman, Sita! He just called out extremely loudly. Now, I was giving a talk in Australia and one boy, he asked me, no, why didn't Ram call out? Hey, that's not me. The whole problem could have been solved. So, yeah, that whole problem could have been solved at one level. But the thing is, Lord Ram doesn't always act as God. He's doing Naralila. Naralila means he's doing a human-like pastime. And within the human-like pastime, he does not generally exhibit supernatural strength. So the demons are actually physically much more powerful than humans. And that's why a demon's voice is also much more louder than a human voice. And that's why Lord Ram's voice would not have reached back. So Lord Ram made sure that the deer is actually dead and he turned back and ran. And in the meanwhile, when Sita heard this, she was already in great anxiety. She said, Lakshman, did you hear that? Please go to Ram. And Lakshman said, that's not Ram. He's not in any danger. But you heard that voice? He says, no, that's just the same demon who had impersonated deer, now is impersonating Ram. Now, Lakshman was trying to calm Sita. See, there's nothing. Ram is not in danger. That's what his mood. But sometimes what happens is we are disturbed over something. And then we tell someone else that we are disturbed about that thing. And now, if that person just stays very calm, then we get disturbed that they are not disturbed. This is serious. Why not taking it seriously? So Lakshman was trying to calm Sita, but Sita got even more disturbed. He says, why are you not going? You think I cannot recognize my husband's voice? This is Ram's voice. No, just no. Ram is not in danger. No, this could all be a plot. No, it is. I've been told to be here with you to protect her. Now, what happened for Sita was, on one side, there was anxiety about Ram's well-being. But on top of that, there was a creeping guilt. And it is that I who sent him over there. It was I who sent him over there. And she had thought it is a small thing. We say we want to buy something from a shop. And say, can you go and buy it? And we say, there's a weather forecast, there's going to be a storm. Oh, the shop is just nearby. In 5 minutes, you can go and come. The storm is going to come only after half an hour. And then that person goes and is gone for half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour. When the storm has hit that area. So what has happened is there's guilt that we might have got the other person in trouble. And then on top of that, for her, not only is it because of me, Ram might be in trouble, but because of me, now Ram is not getting any help. She said, I'm not in any danger, please go. And Lakshmana was just not ready to be. Ram is not in any danger. So I have to be here with you. So in her despair, Sita just lost it. And of course, all this is a transcendental pastime. And these are all divine characters. But we can learn from at an ethical level, at a psychological level. So Sita was just trying to, why is he not going? Now at one level, it's a difference of judgment. Sita is thinking that is actually Ram. And Lakshman is saying it is not Ram. So there is a difference of opinion over here. But Sita was so desperate for Ram's protection that she said that, Lakshman, please go. Lakshman said, no, I'm not going to go. Now, after some time, Lakshman just stopped listening to Sita also. Because Lakshman was suspicious that there might be an attack and there might be an ambush. So he was on guard everywhere, seeing what is happening. And when Sita felt that she was being neglected, she just became so angry. And with her intelligence, she was just somehow trying to make sense. Why is Lakshman not going? And she was not even, in one sense, not even aware. It was just her emotion made her so desperate. Sometimes what happens is, we have our intelligence and we have our mind. So sometimes our mind becomes so big that our intelligence is just sidelined. That means that we just speak something which we're not even thinking what we are speaking. But sometimes what happens is our mind becomes so big, but the mind drags the intelligence along. That means we use our intelligence. We don't just sideline the intelligence. We use our intelligence to justify or to make sense of, or to just more like to justify our mind's emotions. So what happens is Sita says, I know why you're not going. No, you have an evil eye on me. You want me for yourself. Now when Lakshman hears this, while he's focusing on it, he's just shocked to hear this. And Sita just goes on her rant. She says, she just goes, so you will never fulfill your desire. I would rather die than be touched by anyone else. Lakshman says, Sita, what are you speaking? He also realizes that, what you don't know what you're speaking. Please stop. But Sita is so filled with anxiety for Ram. He says that, you will never have your desire. Lakshman feels so hurt by this. What has happened over here is, from a judgment error, it has gone down to motive suspicion. You want your brother to die. So Lakshman says, I just can't bear this. And Lakshman says, I'm afraid that, if I leave you, something terrible may happen to you. But I just cannot stay here. And then Lakshman just runs away to find where Ram is. And then he runs into the forest, following the footsteps of Ram. And then as he goes deep into the forest, then he hears some loud noise. He hides behind a bush. And it's his bow and arrow ready. And he's watching, and suddenly he sees Ram. And when he sees Ram, his anxiety goes down. He's relieved to see Ram, but Ram is anxious to see Lakshman. What happened? Why did you lose Sita? Why are you here? Lakshman is still so broken that he can't even bring those words to his mouth. He said, Ram and Lakshman both are running back towards Sita. And I said, what happened? Why did you lose Sita? And then somehow Lakshman speaks. And Ram just says, she was just in anxiety. Why do you take her words so seriously? Now, Lakshman experiences what Sita had been experiencing. This is a serious thing. How could she speak something like this? But Lakshman says, you shouldn't take it seriously. But then they both run back. And when they come, they found that Sita is not there at all. Now at this point, Lakshman doesn't say, serves her right. She spoke like that about me. This is what should have happened to her. No. What happens is that we all, sometimes life is tough and we all can get affected by it. So, we are all sometimes in tension. Sometimes life may put us in a lot of tension. So, don't see intention in what is spoken intention. So what is spoken intention, don't see intention in that. Yeah. So on one side, what Sita does is wrong. The allegation she makes is bad. But what Lakshman doesn't, he doesn't hit back at her. It is not that when they fight a war and the war gets over and then he meets Sita. He says, okay, where is your apology? I've been waiting for 6 months now. No, that was just a difficult time and it happened over there. So on one side, somebody else, if they make a terrible accusation against us, it'll hurt us. But if we hold it against them, so from their side, it is a motive. So they have questioned our motives, but their questioning our motive is a judgment error on their part. So we don't have to see a motive in that. This is, you wanted to frame me. You have these kind of thoughts about me. No. So let it go. So even if the other person sees the more negative motive, we don't have to start seeing the more negative motive. He said, okay, let it go. So a couple of years ago when I had come to America, I was staying at one devotee's home. And this devotee has brought his father from India here. And he didn't have a mother. Mother had passed away when he was quite young. So I was staying there for a few days, and his father was appreciative of bhakti, not really practicing bhakti. But this father had a lot of interest in English literature, and when I was growing up also I was interested in English literature. So we started talking about those things, and we developed a sort of relationship. So one day, this devotee told me that, no, my father is very cold towards me. I want to serve him. I want to take care of him. I'm thinking of getting him settled in America, trying to do the immigration. But, he's always very cold with me. So I had also noticed a little bit of that. So then when we were talking, his father said that, I want to tell you something, an incident that actually broke my heart. So I said, what happened? So he said when his wife, means his devotee's mother, had passed away, he was in 10th, just giving his 10th exam. Before that, a few months before that, he passed. So he said my son was preparing for the 10th, and he was studying late into the night. So he was studying till almost 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And he told me that when I went to sleep, that please wake me up at 4 o'clock. And then, I was waking up. I also couldn't sleep because I lost my wife. So then I woke up at 4 o'clock and I woke him up. I shook him, I touched him, I shook him, but he didn't wake up. I tried once, I tried twice, I tried thrice. He didn't wake up. And then I thought that maybe he's very tired. And if he doesn't get enough sleep, and even if he goes for the exam, he may not be fresh enough, it may not be good for him. So let him sleep. So then he woke up around 6:30. And when he woke up, so angry, he just woke up, saw the time, and he just yelled at me. He said, you have ruined my preparation for this exam. You have ruined my life. This is the most important exam of my life. He says, it would have been better if instead of my mother, you had died. And he spoke those words and he said, it just shattered me completely. Then I told him, have you told this to your son? He said, no, what is the use now? It's like the arrow has already left the bow. He already spoke those words. I asked him, can I tell him this? He said, yeah, okay, if you want to. Then I told him that your father has told me something, and then I narrated the incident. He was completely aghast. He said, I can't believe that I spoke these words. He said that I remember that incident, which all that I remember was that I saw, and after my mother passed away, my father was so morose. He was constantly sad. And I wanted to do something to cheer him up. So I thought if I study very well, I get good marks in the exam, then he will be happy. It'll bring some light into his life. And that's why I was working harder than for any other exam that I had worked. And it was that anxiety. So I knew I was in that anxiety, but I don't even know what I spoke at that time. And then he went to his father, ran to his father, fell at his feet, sought forgiveness. And then he told what had happened from his side. And his father was still so hurt. Then I sat down both of them and I told them this story. This particular story of Sita's statement and Lakshman's statement. So then his father embraced his son. And then they reconciled. So the thing is that what was spoken was terrible. But from his perspective, his intention was completely opposite of what actually appeared. The words he spoke were very hurtful. But actually those words came from a place in a heart which is completely opposite. It was out of his wanting to please his father and uplift his father's mood that he was in that anxiety. So I don't see intention in what is spoken intention. So generally speaking, if somebody has made a mistake, so start with the least negative motive. The least negative motive. Srila Prabhupada was expert in this. When some of his early disciples, they were into counterculture. They were part of taking drugs also. So now taking drugs is one thing, but sometimes they were also into peddling drugs. So one of them had to, their past crimes caught up with them and they had to go to jail. They were very embarrassed. Swamiji is such a saintly person and he has initiated us and now he had to go to jail. So this devotee said, Swamiji, this is what has happened. And Prabhupada said, even Krishna was in a jail. So Prabhupada was so, in one sense, he just downplayed the whole thing. He saw that their heart was in the right place. Yes, they had done something in the past, but okay. It is not that you are a terrible person. It's not that. It is not. How could you just have something like this? It's made it like it was a judgment error from the past, but Prabhupada just downplayed it completely. So when we do this, then we give others the space to improve. If we don't do that, then what happens is it becomes more about I proving that I am right and I am proving that you are wrong, rather than I helping you to do what is right. So then if we try to just, the communication would be that, sometimes things happen. We all learn from our experiences. And we tried it this way. And what do we learn from it? So rather than focusing on why did you make this mistake, if you're training someone, just change the question. So what have you learned from it? Now that small question instead of "I told you so." Just see how much different is. I told you so. So now, of course, you can say, "So what have you learned from it?" No. That could still come off as udvegakaram, not anudvegakaram. But yeah. So let's see what we have learned from this. We could make it a little more non-judgmental, a little more inclusive. So that way it helps the other person to grow. And of course, there could be times when a person has a wrong motive, and that's the time when we have to take strong actions. But those are rare. And assuming that that is the case will ruin relationships when they don't have to be ruined. Now, you see, if somebody has made a mistake and they are earnest, then that's the time, actually, it's a make or a break kind of thing. If we are understanding and we are helpful and encouraging, the bond that will form in that time will be very, very thick and deep at that time. So I'll make one last point here. So I was talking, I was in Australia. I was staying at one devotee's home, and this devotee was telling me that that when my child was small, he was practicing bhakti so wonderfully, but now he's become a teenager, and I don't know where my child has disappeared. So then now I saw this young son. He was driving me to different places for programs. So we started talking various things. I like words, so he also likes words. So we used to play some word games. And then he told me at one time, I feel as if my parents don't love me at all. I feel as if my parents love a future version of me. And they are just tolerating me till that future version comes.